listen, now that Rings of Power is done, let's get down to the get down. I want to say this: Amazon bought the rights to have a story based on Tolkien's world, and they bought the rights to have a story based on Robert Jordan's world, Wheel of Time, Rings of Power. And they did it because they wanted to fill in that gap that was left when Game of Thrones was finished. They wanted to be able to do what Game of Thrones did. The problem is that I don't think a lot of people understand that the worst seasons of Game of Thrones were the last 2 seasons to me. And the reason that is because they didn't have the books to use as a backdrop anymore. But when they had it, Game of Thrones was like one of the greatest shows to ever touch television. So I just really don't understand how you guys get Rings of Power and Wheel of Time and you just go so far away from the books. Now, I'll say this about the Wheel of Time. I feel like the show is still very much watchable. I've watched Wheel of Time season 1 and season 2 twice. I'll never do that with Rings of Power. I feel like Rings of Power stink. I don't know how you guys like it. You guys that do like it, I feel like the pacing is bad. The story's all over the place. I don't feel like the acting is that great, and it's not necessarily just the actors. It's the words that they're given to say. It's the dialogue. It's a dry show. It's boring. You know what I'm saying? Even the fight scenes, the choreograph, it's not good. When I watch it, I feel like I'm watching the fight. I feel like I'm watching Power Rangers. Like there's a whole lot of flippity floppity that makes no sense. That's very pointless. You know what I'm saying? It's like stab here, like I just feel like it was just very disorganized. I feel like I was watching people LARP. You know what I'm saying? It's just people out there with foam swords and sticks and swinging and acting like they're living in me. That's how I feel about it. With Wheel of Time, my biggest issue is it's not even the race swapping, because when you read the Wheel of Time, there's a lot of dark skin, even black people described in the Wheel of Time. So I won't say it's that, even though some of the characters are race swapped. My problem is that they nerfed or subverted a lot of Randall's Thor's story to give to Egwene and Nynaeve when they didn't have to, or Moraine. Which didn't make any sense, because when you read the books, the women are the most powerful thing in there until later in the books when the men really start finding themselves and getting power, or Randall Thor starts stepping into his truth even more. The women are the most powerful thing going on in the books. So it's kind of pointless. Like, I get women empowerment and want to bring more people. You didn't need to do that, because the whole point of the story is that women have magic, men don't. When men have magic, they need to be hunted down and gentled, which is getting the connection to magic taken away or killed. So it's like, why? Why did you make Randall Thor look so helpless throughout the first 2 seasons to build up these women characters and have them constantly saved by it when you didn't have to do that? You didn't have to do it at all. I'm just confused about that. Like, even the last big battle of season 2 and just some of the other stuff. Those are the issues I have with the Wheel of Time. But I will say that the show is not bad. Like, the pacing is good. Like, it's enjoyable. I like the Wheel of Time. I'm going to be one of those people. I know a lot of people who are diehard book fans who don't, and I'm a book fan, but I still found it enjoyable. I'll say this, though. When you read the books, the women and the men do have a dumb relationship all throughout the books. It's like a 7, 8, 9-year-old kid relationship. Like, it's girls are yucky, boys are dumb. You lunkhead, men can't do this. Like, that's the whole, throughout all the books. Like, even as they get older, it's still that same thing. Men are stupid, girls are bad, or girls are stupid, men are bad. All throughout the books. So it's kind of like when I watch the show, it's like, that's the relationship that they have in the books. I just don't like them subverting some of the things that the Perrin or you know what I'm saying, or Randall Thor, or, you know, Matt Cawthon do. You know what I'm saying? I love me some Matt Cawthon. I love Perrin too. I like some of the characters, you know what I'm saying, in Wheel of Time. But Rings of Power, this is some of the things that they did to a lot of the legendary characters from Tolkien's work. Is like, I can't believe you did that. Like, I can't believe you did that to Elrond, or you did that to Galadriel. Like, I can't believe that you had Sauron crying as if Sauron was a human being. Like, Sauron is a deity. Like, he's like an angel. Like, he's, the fact that you had him crying because dude told him you're a prisoner of the rings, Lord of the Rings. The fact that you had Celebrimbor look like an old man, like a shop teacher. Like, this is Celebrimbor. I hated that part. Even the story with the orcs. Like, listen, Sauron, let me tell you something about Sauron. Sauron is evil. Sauron chose to follow Morgoth because he was evil. He didn't choose because Morgoth punked him or did something to. He chose to follow Morgoth because he wanted to shape the world in his image the same way Morgoth did. He chose that. He was evil. Now the orcs are evil because Morgoth poured his evil into them. Same way he did with the dragons, same way he did with the trolls. So those are evil characters. Now, if you want to debate whether there's truly good and evil in man or anything else that was created on Earth by Ilu Ilúvatar, like, I get that. But when it comes to the orcs or the trolls or things like this, like, they're evil because they were molded and shaped by evil. Evil was poured into them. The same thing Sauron intended to do with the rings. That's why he wanted to give it to man, the dwarves, and the elves, because he wanted to influence them with control by the rings. He couldn't do it the same way Morgoth did. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that those creatures are evil. The reason why Sauron has influence over them is because they're already evil. You know what I'm saying? So he naturally can influence the orcs or the trolls to do their bidding. So that's why it was crazy that Ador had a troll following him and that they marched all this equipment 1,000 miles to Eregion and they was able to build and shape. Like, that's another thing that's part of Sauron. As an angel, like, one of the things he was somebody who was good with iron and building and shaping. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was one of his things. Like, same with Saruman. Like, Saruman is the one who taught Feanor how to build, basically make the Silmarils. Like, it's just a lot that just didn't make no sense. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, yeah, the orcs are supposed to naturally be evil. Like, for them to be crying, so we're dying, women, they don't care about that. They don't care about that. They're a corrupted, debased life form. I'll leave it at that. I'll just say, like I said, I've watched Wheel of Time a couple times. I can never see myself rewatching Rings of Power. So if we're going to compare the two, listen, I can't wait for Wheel of Time Season 3. I'll watch it. I enjoy it. It won't be up there with Game of Thrones or Sons of Anarchy or, you know what I'm saying, some of the other great series that I like, but it's a show that I can watch. Rings of Power, I wish they give it to somebody else. Junior.